Jonny, we'll turn over to the series that's going to be coming up, the Rangers versus Carolina Hurricanes. How exactly are you looking at the series, and how do you see it?
Well, it's two evenly matched teams for the most part. I know everyone's going to talk about the difference and the X factors and all those conversations that we're all having, right? Everyone's having them. But to me, the 5-on-5, if you're a Ranger fan, which everyone here is, right? I know there is an Islander fan on the show.
Yeah,
I understand.
He should be coming back to join us soon enough.
Okay. You can expect the Rangers to probably be the worst of the two at the 5-on-5 play, right? Carolina will probably be the better team at 5-on-5, but the power play for the Rangers is probably going to be the difference maker in this series. And, you look at Carolina, and if you want to have the X factor conversation, for the Rangers, who are the X factors 2 years ago when they won that series? The kid line, right? The third line. Filip, Kaapo Kakko, Alexis Lafreniere. When Panarin's not producing, when Zibanejad and Kreider and Vetrano at the time are slowed down a little bit, you need the third line, you need the fourth line to score some goals. That's what happened in the Washington series with Barclay Goodrow, Jimmy Vesey, Matt Rempe chips in for one, Kaapo Kakko scores the first goal in Game 4. When those guys, the big guns, the top-heavy guys, aren't doing it, who's going to do it? The Hurricanes have gotten it from guys like Stefan Nason, scored, 3 goals in the first round against the Islanders. I think a game winner, a game tire, and the tap in last night, that's a guy on the fourth line who gets power play minutes, who steps up because Jesper Fast isn't in the lineup. He's done for the playoffs. That's a big loss for Carolina that no one's really talking about. A former Ranger. I'm surprised that hasn't come up much yet. But that's going to be the difference, right? It's going to be the third line, the fourth line, and who gets production, because we know what Svechnikov is going to do. He's a difference maker too. He's an X factor. He hasn't been healthy in a playoff run for the Hurricanes in quite some time. He's always hurt. So that's a big addition for them, as well as Gensel and Kuznetsov. But you know what you're going to expect from Zibanejad, Kreider, Panarin. You know what you're going to get from Aho, Svechnikov, and probably Jake Gensel. So who are going to be the guys that score goals when those guys aren't doing it? I think the Rangers have the edge in goal. I think the Rangers have the edge in special teams. It's the 5-on-5, that third, fourth line, who are going to be the guys that can put a puck in the net. That's going to be the difference. I don't expect any game to have like a 4-3, 5-4. It's going to be like 2-1, 3-2 every game, it feels like, right? Like that's got to be what we're all thinking here.
Yeah.
I think it might be like an offensive game that's sprinkled in there, but I'm expecting a low-scoring series. The Rangers, I think, want to keep it low-scoring.
Yeah. Also, the one thing too, Freddie Anderson has not been healthy in previous postseasons. Like, I think he played 3 games in a row for the first time since last year's playoffs. That was the first time he had 3 consecutive starts in the Islander series. So the Rangers got to do whatever they can to make his life hell too. So we'll see.
Well, you were talking about somebody who I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah.
You mentioned Filip. And reports have come out today from Vince, Molly, others, that he was rotated around the lines. I heard he took reps on first line, right wing with Kreider and Zibanejad. Where do you see, well, one, when do you see him coming back? And 2, where do you see Laviolette putting him?
Well, he's been doing that now for like 2 weeks also. He's been in like the small area games, he's been filling in for a little bit, but in the line rush stuff, he hasn't been filling in. And I'll be there tomorrow and Friday too. So, but like, again, Laviolette's not answering questions about it. Chytil's not even available to the media right now either. So there's like no conversations really about it to hear from him directly. But I said on my show the other day, if you're going to put him in, you got to put him in Game 1, I think, right? Like, you don't want to throw him into the fire in a Game 3 or Game 4 if they're down and have it be his first game since November 2nd. Like, I'm not an NHL coach, but I would just think that's kind of, it seems like if you can do it now, do it now. But again, like a guy like Mikhail Sergachev in Tampa snaps his leg in half 60 days ago, comes into Game 4, they're down 3-0, and he has somewhat of an impact, But if I'm slotting Chytil in, just to answer the question, I would think you move Wenberg down to the fourth line center position, keep Vesey and Gaudreau, and I think you're taking Rempe out. And it sucks because I'm a Rempe supporter, but it's not the matchup where it's going to be so physical. This is going to be tight checking and fast. So you need your fastest lineup. And to me, Chytil makes this team much faster than Rempe does. I think if you're playing Boston or Florida, Rempe definitely needs to be in there. Those are 2 very physical teams. It's different kind of game, different kind of matchup. But with Carolina, I would actually, if there's a way to bet this, I would say the Rangers have less than 10 odd man rushes the entire series. Carolina always has F3 back. They're always checking above the puck. One of the things Matt Barzal said, I covered game 3 and games 4 of the Islander Hurricane series. So I got to watch them, pretty closely the last week or so. And Matt Barzal said it, multiple times. This is the tightest checking series I've ever been involved in. And that's one of the fastest players in the NHL up and down the ice. So if he's saying it, says a lot about, what's to come. So we'll see. But, I would say Chytil, third line center. Roslovic needs to be up there. He's a fast skater. He's a guy that, will push the Carolina defenseman back. And, Chytil, Kakko, Cooley sounds fine to me.
Yeah, I like that.
I agree with you on that one wholeheartedly. And also Wenberg, Goudreau, and Vesey also sound pretty good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because just extending the Filip Chytil talk for a minute, he's been one of the Rangers' best postseason even strength scorers. Him and Kreider are tied for the most even strength goals since 2022, and it's some. I think it's a temptation of a lot of fans or anything to look and think he should go replace Roslovic on the first line.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I said it yesterday. Imagine just game 1, Joe Tolson starting at center, number 72, Filip, like Madison Square Garden would go, I can't curse on you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Bonkers.
They go fucking nuts if they announce Chytil as a starter for game 1. Like, just for that, it'd be unreal. But again, like I am team Rempe. I think he's so effective. I think he's so impactful. And I quite frankly I think the kid's presence is amazing, and I hope to see him play. But when you're talking about Carolina, you're talking about speed, and they need to put the fastest lineup they can together.
Just one last part of it, because when people talk about Chytil, they're always asking about his health. Mm-hmm. Is that at all a question right now?
I'm not the guy to ask. I'm no doctor.
Right.
But I thankfully, knock on wood, I've never really had to deal with concussions, so I can't really speak to what he's going through. I don't know.
All right.
I've had one, and that's really about it.
So
thankfully,
it's tough to say. But I see this comment right here. My right nut.
That's actually so funny enough. That's actually that's the guy that actually sparked the conversation.
Okay, that's funny.
Here. Yeah,
I was like reading it, and I was like, oh, that's what that says. But I would love, and I'm surprised MSG hasn't really done this, but like, I think it's obviously not the Stanley Cup final or anything, but I remember when I was a kid and Nathan Horton got lit up in game 3 in the Boston-Vancouver series, and like
that was Aaron Rome, I think.
Aaron Rome, game 4, they panned to Horton and he's waving the towel on Boston Garden, getting the fans going. If the Rangers at the Garden like had a camera on Chytil doing the towel wave or something, if he's not playing, like, that's something too that would be pretty cool to see. I don't know. I mean, I'm all for the the cheesy stuff too. I love all the dramatics that go into the playoffs.
No, you know what? I'll make this quick because I want to get more from you in.
Yeah.
But I went to Game 6 against Montreal in 2014, and
really?
No
way. In Montreal?
Electric. No. The at MSG.
I was thinking.
Yeah, the clincher to go to the finals, and one of the things that was just awesome, and I'll never forget this, was Alexei Kovalov shows up. And he stands up and he's wearing like a black and beige Columbia ski jacket. And he gets this amazing ovation. They go back to him a little later in the game and he stands up, rips the jacket off, and he has a 94 Stanley Cup final.
No way.
MSG, I swear to God, Johnny, that building shook to its core. And shortly after that, Dominic Moore scored the goal that put them ahead and they won that game.
That's awesome. It's so funny when that stuff happens. Like Derek Brassard and Kevin Klein got a standing ovation like last round. Like it's
crazy. It's awesome. It really is. So I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
Phil, you have the question because I took the last one.
So we were talking about Rempe, and now with that, I mean, the big concern with Rempe is speed. And, you were talking about how Carolina likes to push the pace and go forward and really kind of, suffocate you in your own zone. Can you see Rempe becoming a black ace type player where they kind of insert him in and out of the lineup in the event that they feel that they need a change of pace?
In this series?
Yes.
Well, I think he's playing game one. I don't think if you were to see any lineup changes, you probably would have saw them today. And, Laviolette, and I'd say, a lot of old school coaches and styles and stuff, you don't really see a winning lineup change. The Rangers just won 4 straight games. Like, why would you fix what's not broken? I don't care who the opponent was. You won 4 straight. But the one concern with Rempe is, I think in game 4, he doesn't even see a shift in the third period. So in those games, depending on, like, we might see a really wild game 1, and, it could be like a tryout for him. It could be, let's see what this kid can do in the first game. If we lose game 1, it's not the end of the world. But if he's impactful, great. If he's not, we have options. So I think that's a smart move to play him in game 1, just to know the weapon that you have, right? Because the games that he didn't play, and this is something that Mike Rupp, him and I talk about a lot because he's a big Rempe guy too. The Rangers have a weapon in Matt Rempe that they need to still learn how to use it, right? Like, it's a game changer. It is a distraction to the other team. Like, after that hit on Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Tom Wilson's focus in that game was not winning the game. It was Matt Rempe, So I think having that against a team like Carolina where, listen, like, nobody likes getting hit, right? Like, I don't care who you are. Nobody likes getting hit. So if you can throw off a guy on Carolina, like Aho, like Svechnikov, like these guys, let him be the distraction, right? Like, why not? So yeah. And that hit on Trevor Van Riemsdyk was clean as shit, in my opinion. I had Capitals fans coming at me the whole night. And when he came out and said that quote, nothing made me happier than dunking on people. But I think that's actually so funny because the kid who chirped me and told me that I'm losing credibility for being a homer just sent me an email. He sent me an email. That's hilarious.
You know what's funny? I was gonna, I don't mean to cut you off, but I was going to say that I went and apologized to Boiler.
I saw that.
This whole
that's how this started, right? With Brian, the clip.
Yes, this whole thing, Johnny coming on, started because I quote tweeted his quote from Boiler about how Rempe has had an impact on the team, and like someone like Lafreniere has been playing with more of his chest out. Which I said, Marc, when we brought in Ryan Reeves a couple years ago, one of the first things I said was that Ryan Reeves is that type of player that gives that security blanket feeling where players can go and play like that because they know that they're not going to have somebody taking liberties on them the way that Tom Wilson did 3 years ago. So it's funny you brought that up with him emailing you because I tagged Boiler in that because I watched the entire clip with you and Colby talking about that. And he's absolutely right. Rempe has had that effect.
Yeah, I could have made a better caption, right? What was the caption? Like Brian Boyle, Matt Rempe's made Alexi Lafreniere better. But that was the quote. Like, I was just,
that was the quote. And that's what made us all kind of go.
I didn't think that it would be taken in such a negative way that it was.
People are looking for a way to take everything literally on social media down to the T, and it gets annoying sometimes. So I was guilty of it there, and I had to throw my flowers to Boyle there because he deserved that because he was absolutely right.
1,000%. And we no one was taking anything away from Lafreniere.
You've been the biggest Lafreniere guy all season.
Every
time you post something about Lafreniere, I'm usually right there in there saying something because it's you've been the guy pumping this guy's gas all year. You've been gassing him up, and deservedly so.
Yeah, no, I see Ranger Central chirp me too about the Kane tweet I had. That one I still don't apologize for that. That would be pretty cool. I still think from a NHL fan perspective, if you're not a Rangers fan, that is a cool moment.
Well, also you own what you say and you own your mistakes because after all, I got that when I accidentally said Justin Huberdeau one time, and I'm never going to hear the end of it.
I was tuning in when I heard you talk about buying tickets to the wrong game. That's pretty funny.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it was even kind of funnier because I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take my wife, and oh no, it's the Islanders. Oh, he already bought the tickets. All right, so
Did
you go
for that because he would have
yes,
absolutely loved you chirping Marc on that.
Did you go? Did he go to the game?
yeah, oh yeah, I went. Yeah,
went? Yeah, good for you.
yeah. As my fiance just said from the background, I was wasting money I should be spending on our wedding coming up in 6 months. I do want to just to say this one observation. I do think that the size of Rempe, like I think a lot of refs are just confused by him. They're just like, oh, okay, it looked bad, so it must have been a hit. And sometimes I think his size is just a factor in there. But Jonny, I want to ask you this from JE. He wants to ask you, so throw his question out there. Jonny, do you think the man-on-man D structure of the Canes could actually prove beneficial for the Rangers by playing into their skill strengths?
You know what's funny? JE, this was the exact question I have lined up for Laviolette tomorrow after practice. Because to me, a lot of the Islanders' success offensively in that series was when they brought their third guy high in the offensive zone. And teams sometimes now, I guess more than, the last like 10 years, you talk about hockey 10 years ago, it's creating offense off the cycle, right? Below the goal line, you have guys constantly moving, and that's how you create. You get the puck from low to high, you get to the net, you get traffic, get rebounds, blah, blah, blah. Now, with the way that NHL defensemen are able to skate and the skill set they have, you see guys like Panarin coming out to the high slot in the top of the zone and, being interchangeable with defensemen, throwing a drop pass to like a guy like Keandre Miller or Adam Fox. And now there's three guys at the top of the zone that are cycling, looking to go downhill and get pucks in the net. And then you have speed going to the net for a rebound. When you're playing man on man and you can do that at the top of the zone, it fucks everyone up in the defensive zone. Like it really does. So, when you have the lines like Lafreniere, Trocheck, Panarin, or Zibanejad, Roslovic, Kreider, not as much Kreider because you really see Kreider at the top of the zone making plays. He's normally at the front of the net. But, Mika and Roslovic are able to do that. And Roslovic's cutbacks are able to create separation against a team like Carolina. So I think the man-on-man in the D zone against a team like the Rangers with so much offensive skill, it's going to bite them in the ass, especially if they couldn't even handle the Islanders when they were doing that. Because you look at the mobile defenseman on the Islanders, it's really just like Noah Dobson, right? Like he's the only offensive threat. That's it. So, you'd have to think a guy like Keandre is going to thrive in this series. A guy like Fox is going to thrive in this series. Maybe even Eric Gustafsson. But, I think as far as 5-on-5, that is the one edge the Rangers have, is that Carolina does play a man-on-man. So if they're able to do that, constant cycling at the top of the zone, it's going to pay off in the long run, I would think.
You know what's funny? You brought up Gustafsson, and I know it's not going to happen, but I just wanted to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
What do you think of? Would you bring in somebody like Jones, who looked great in his 2 games against Carolina? And the other thing you talked about is talking about quick breakouts against them, having that first pass be clean. The puck support's obviously paramount on getting that puck out of the zone. Zach Jones in those 2 games was excellent at avoiding forecheck pressure and getting the puck out of the zone. And I feel like he could be a big-time difference maker on that third pairing with Trouba in this series, because we all know Trouba's not the fastest skater. He's probably the slowest skater in the entire series. Maybe Jordan Stahl might be a little slower than him.
No, but I don't know. I don't know about that. I think it's Trouba for sure.
I gotta say, it looks close though at times when
Stahl's at least got the reach though. He's a big, big
that's
body.
the thing. Stahl's got huge. His 747 wingspan reach. But I feel like Jones, if you were to get him in there and Laviolette were to give him a chance, I feel like this is where he would really thrive and give them an extra edge over Carolina in that regard. Would you agree? Or
I'm a Zach Jones guy. He's a UMass guy. We didn't play together or cross over, but a lot of the same teammates, and friends in common. So he's always the first guy I go to in the locker room at practice and stuff, and just say what up to. And obviously a guy like him right now who found his confidence this year, right? He was there. He got it. I feel for him because I think he knows he should be playing. It's tough to say you got to take someone out right now and they sweep in the first round, right? It's not easy, but a guy like Zach Jones, to me, he's smart. He makes the simple decision. I think he'd be effective for sure. With Trouba, and I know there was a question too about Trouba's foot speed being a worry in this series. What Trouba does, the fact that he is a punching bag, I guess, on Twitter by a lot of people, right? He is. that guy, I don't know where he finished. He might have been first. He might have been second or third. He puts his body in front of everything. Like he blocks every shot. He is standing in front of Ovechkin's slap shot fearlessly. And he's a guy in a one goal game in the last 2 minutes against Carolina. Like, he's doing whatever he can to block that shot. Like he is. And, for the things he lacks, like foot speed, he makes up for, I think, in toughness. And not everyone is the perfect player, right? So you got to take some negatives with the positives. And to me, Trouba's physicality and his fearlessness have always outweighed the negatives. If he was the number one defenseman, it'd be different. But Fox has stepped up in the last 3 years and become that number one offensive guy. Trouba's not an $8 million number one that we signed him for, but he's still to me incredibly impactful and effective. And I know there are things where he could be better, but it's take the negative with the positive, right?
Absolutely. And you're with them. So like,
not always, just
like not always, but you're around them. You're around them enough to like know this. Like, how big a deal was it for Trouba to take that demotion, and how was it around that locker room when all of that happened? Because that could be a moment where a team's either divided or they galvanize from it and they come together.
I mean, I don't even think it was a thought. The kind of guy Jacob Trouba is if this move is better for the New York Rangers, then so be it. Like, it's not, and it's hard to argue against, right? Like, the games he was out, they were playing well. It's not like the team was playing so magnificent with what we were seeing that the change was out of nowhere, right? A change was needed. And, he's not playing power play anyway, so it's not like he was taken off the power play. And he's still out there, in a tight game in the last few minutes. Like, it's not like it's you're parking your ass on the bench here and you're going to watch as we try to fight for a win. Like, in the times of need, he's still out there. So listen, Laviolette's so great about that. I think, as far as doing whatever he can to get everybody involved. You see him double shift Panarin from time to time. He's got two centers out there, for the majority of the game on defensive zone draws. He actually does. I got to ask him. He must be a lacrosse guy, because the amount of guys that do the FOGO, the face off, get off thing. I haven't seen that much in hockey. And I think it's been something that he's done a lot this year, but it's tough because you only talk to Laviolette in like a podium form. So you can't really talk to him as like a guy to guy conversation. And you only get, like 8 to 10 minutes every day. So when you get a chance to ask a question, you're not going to, there's times where you can keep it light and ask that kind of stuff. But like, if I were to go in there and be like, do you watch lacrosse? Everyone would look at me like I'm a fucking idiot. So, you know what I mean? But yeah, I forgot what the initial question even was, but I'll just stop talking.
How Trouba took the demotion.
There you go.
Jonny.
Yeah.
I got to look at two of the guys that probably were under microscopes for different reasons this season. Artemi Panarin, who struggled in the playoffs and had that monster season. In my opinion, he should get more recognition for the MVP than what he's getting right now.
Yeah.
And Mika Zibanejad, who kind of underperformed a little bit. Yeah, a lot of people would say, especially at 5-on-5. I wrote about that a couple months ago. How important was it that Panarin got 2 game winners? Didn't really have this big point production, but both of them were game winners. That's a huge thing. And the eye test shows he was playing phenomenal in that first series. But then you get Zibanejad, who had 7 points, who was taking out passing lanes, and he's kind of a slow starter notoriously, and he got off to the fast start.
Well, I think this one's tough because Zibanejad, to me, and listen, I am not shy to admit it. I try to read everything on Twitter from Ranger fans. I try to get all sides. I try to understand everyone's reasoning for everything. The Mika Zibanejad was invisible at 5-on-5 crowd. I cannot get behind that. Like, the little things this guy does, defensively, face-offs, PK, even if he's not the one scoring on the power play, him being out there is still a threat, which opens up other players. Like, people don't really understand that. Mika's one-timer is just like Ovechkin. You got a guy who's out there killing a penalty that's only worried about him. And what does that do? It creates a 4-on-3 for everyone else. So there's little things that go into it that, and I'm not going to sit here and discredit the casual Ranger fan, right? Like, But what Mika Zibanejad is able to do all over the ice, like he flies. Like he is such an incredible skater that I don't think he gets enough credit for. And there are times, sure, where you'd like him to shoot the puck more. I think there was Mike Kelly had the stat. It was like 8, maybe like 1 out of 12 2-on-1s he shot or something, and it led to a goal. Some crazy stat like that. So you'd like to see him be a little bit more selfish, but seeing him produce in the first round, seeing Panarin produce in the first round, yeah, it's great, it's awesome. But guess what? They don't come out and do it in game 1, game 2 in Carolina. No one gives a shit, right? Like no one cares. Yep. It's good for the confidence, and it's good to take that monkey off your back because Panarin didn't score in the playoffs last year. But going forward, like it's not going to be, well, they scored in the first round, so it's okay if they don't contribute here in the second round. No one thinks that way. So it's great now, but if they struggle in the second round, that's what the story is going to be. So we'll see.
I mean, elite scorers in scoring, they're kind of like your driver on the golf course.
Yeah.
Once you pipe one down, then you're ready to then you start piping them down every single hole right down the middle of the fairway.
Can I address one thing quick? I just saw that comment again from my right nut, who I like interacting on this show. This is but this comment right here. He's brought in for offenses, making $8.5 million average annual value. Did the team come in third place in the Met? Team fucking won hockey games. They won the President's Trophy. I don't care if you're not scoring. The business is to win. It's a results-based business. If the Rangers were in the wild card position and Mika's not scoring, yes, get on the guy. They won 54 games, 55. What was the tally? 55. Like, get off the guy's ass. They win games. So that's all I'll say about that. Like that's what bothers me is that, and this guy Ethan, and I wish the Islander, what's his name? The Islander fan on the show.
Oh, Anthony.
Yeah.
I wish Anthony was here because I love this guy, Ethan, like GSN. He's an Islander fan that I always interact with on Twitter.
Yeah.
He always like has like a quote tweet, like Ranger fans will be complaining about something on Twitter and I'll go check the score and they're winning 2-0. It's like that's what we're doing here, right? Like we're finding a complaint, but we're winning games. So what the hell are we talking about?
And just to say this too, I'll use the metaphor for pitchers. Do you want a guy that's going to throw 100 miles an hour dead straight over the plate, or a guy that could throw it on the black with some movement? Zibanejad didn't produce as well, but we had still turned in a pretty good season.
Reminds me of the Rick Nash scores from the 2014 playoffs. Like, no, you're paid $7.85 million to score 40 goals, and he wasn't doing it. But if you watched him in 5v5, it was all the offense was going through him.
Yeah,
and he was super productive, and it's a shame. So, I mean, I get it. I was hard on Zibanejad throughout the season. I think they needed a little more from him offensively, but you're right. They were winning games. And that's really what it comes down to. So yeah. I am a little guilty of that. I will totally take accountability.
It's fair. That's what sports are all about, right? Like it's passion. But again, like I just don't like the people that like I was always a ride or die fan. Like, and I think there are a lot of fans that when shit is going wrong, you're quick to, get on them. But honestly, like a story I'll tell, we had Keith Yandel on our morning show today, Morning Cup of Hockey, and
great interview, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And the first thing we talked about with Keith when he came on was, man, Leafs fans are hard on their guys and it affects them. They've lost 6 straight games at home in the playoffs. What, you think that's a coincidence? No. They hear it, they know it. And Rangers, the players hear it, they know it. Like the players see everything. You know how many players have burner accounts? They could be a player watching this right now. But it's it's something that I think we get lost in. Like, I definitely used to tweet thinking no one is seeing this. Like my opinion doesn't mean shit. Not that I'm, saying it does now, but like people see stuff and it can affect players mentally. And I think when you have a team that's as special as this team is right now, and that's why like the Panarin MVP thing, like I was like, cheer MVP. Like this doesn't happen every year. You gotta just be supportive of your guys, especially when they're playing well. Because in New York, we know when shit hits the fan, we run them out of town. So,
It's so funny you said that, because this comment from Ranger Central right here. Can we push for the MVP chance to be back again? And you're disappointed that it only lasted. And you're right. And I remember seeing you push for those chants.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if he liked it though, to be honest. I don't know if he liked it. I asked him about it after the game, and he's like, he smiled and then just said like no comment. I don't know. So I don't know if he was like, I don't know if he was comfortable with it or not. So maybe we'll let that one slide. Maybe we shouldn't do it. Yeah.
No, but Jonny, we don't want to keep you too long. You've been on with us for
honestly. I got another 10 if you need. I'm having fun. So
that's your call. If you want to stay on, I didn't want to take too much of your time, but if you want to stay on for another 10, let's keep it going then.
I got a roller hockey game at 9:30, so I got to head out here in like 20-30 minutes, eat a little food. But yeah, I got 10 more.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go 10 more.
Nice. I love
good stuff. I need the Islander guy in here. I want to shit on him a little bit.
Yeah, we told Anthony to come back. He's got family obligations, but we told him to come back. But I don't know if he's going to be able to. But I love the fact that you're also a roller hockey guy. I'm a big roller hockey guy.
Where are you guys, by the way?
I'm on Long Island. I'm in West Babylon.
Oh, and I'm in East Meadow.
Got it. My sister's in Comac. Parents are in Syosset. I'm in Brooklyn, but a lot of time.
Are you playing the Brooklyn League there?
I play it, in Dumbo, the outdoor rink in Dumbo. It's so sick, dude. It's unreal.
Oh, I've always wanted
to ferry over, get a nice breeze on the boat. It's great.
How is the tile on that? Because I know, like, all right, so they used to have that in Long Beach, and when the condensation starts to build up a little bit,
it's slippery out there.
Slippery.
Yeah, it's not like skate safe tile. You know, skate safe in Plainview.
Absolutely, play there. Play sport time too.
It's not like that. So, like, you know, it's not what I prefer, but it's good enough. You know, it's good outdoor hockey. It's better than concrete. So I'll take it. And the views, you can't beat the views. They're so sick.
That's awesome.
And Jonny, unfortunately, since it's the playoffs, I'm growing out my beard right now, and you can see all the gray.
You got the Kreider goatee going?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, you know, I'm more of a chin strap guy because I get patchy over here. But I'm old enough to remember the Bethpage rink being outdoors. That's how long ago I played in that. As you were mentioning, it's Syosset. I grew up in Hicksville. So
with which Bethpage rink?
The one on the Town of Oyster Bay rink that's now inside.
Was that on that
was outdoor?
That was outdoor. There was a large concrete slab that was over it, chain link fence on the outside. And I always name drop them, but one of my teammates my first year was Marty Hughes, uncle of Jack and the rest of them. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So cool. Although for me, it was I would pay money to watch Timmy Karakostas, a friend of mine who ended up going to Norwich University. He's a coach now.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I think he was a coach for Shane Gostisbehere at one point. But yeah,
Norwich is a really good program. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about this right here, Jonny. Like, you were talking about Panarin before and the MVP chance and everything like that. Is that something that, like, is that vibe that you get from Panarin? Like, is that he's not like overly like fond of spotlight and he just kind of wants to, you know, go about his business and not have the microscope on him? Or
I get mixed signals. You know, I think he definitely thrives in it. Like, you know, it was cool. So I asked him, and I don't know if were you guys by any chance at the last game of the season against Ottawa?
No,
I missed it.
So I don't know if the TV, I don't know if the MSG, does the MSG broadcast like show the player on the bench after they score when it's like announced in the arena? Did they do that?
At times.
Sometimes, not always.
So, all right. So then, damn, I guess people didn't get to see it, but when Joe Tollison announces the goal scorer, it always pans to the player on the bench or if they're on the ice. And Panarin like saw himself on the board when they announced his 49th goal of the season. And he looked up and like gave a nod, like I got this. I got 50, you know, like he was giving that signal. And he said that in the post game. He said, like, you know, I was thriving off the fans. Like he loves it and he gets it, you know? So it's moments like that where I do think that like he loves it, but obviously no one loves having people do thrive under the pressure, right? Like people thrive in the clutch. I don't know if he loves that aspect of it, but you know, in the moments that his swagger is swagging, I guess, you know, he definitely loves it.
Jonny, one guy I can't help but look at, and I think he just needs to be the focal point of his line, or maybe even just not be one superstars. I always look at Kaapo Kakko, and I keep on just looking at him, just just thinking he's going to break out at some point, or you're just going to see some dominant game. But he's a well-rounded player, and I think fans, you get the sense that the fans are wrong about him. The fans are ready to run him out of town, being like, "Oh, we thought he was a number 1-2 pick," or is it something in the middle on that? Like he's not a bust, but he's not the franchise player that I thought they were going to be.
I mean, he's definitely not the franchise player that we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And I am one. I am guilty of it. I have been very hard on Kaapo Kakko. Probably the most critical I've been of a player in my media career. And I know he's young, and I see the comment from JE, but there's a certain confidence thing with him, and I think it's very up and down. You can tell when he's confident, and you can tell when he's not. And listen, I've been, I've played at the Division I level, and when my confidence is there, feels like nothing can stop you. When the confidence is not there, you don't even want to go to the fucking rink. So, I'm not going to say I get where he's coming from in the NHL level, but like in my own experience, I've been there, and it sucks. And for him, it's got to be tough, and I feel for him because he's a guy who came into the NHL and was probably expecting the whole world in his hand, right? First power play, first line, being the guy that he was as a kid. And when you are the guy growing up and then all of a sudden you're no longer the guy, you kind of have a struggle with your identity as a hockey player. And I think Kakko has still tried to figure that out this year, and he's become a very effective third liner. But it's going to be tough to find that confidence that you saw prior to him being drafted when he's not put in that position to have that confidence, if that makes sense. Similar to Lafreniere in the past few years, but this year he was given it and he ran with it. So it's tough, man. It's not easy. And I think Kakko has shut me up a little bit because I said, like, if this guy's not producing points as a third liner or doing anything to stand out, he's replaceable. Like, I said that word, like, he is replaceable. And I was all for trading Kakko to Anaheim and bringing in Frank Petrano. Like, I love Frank Petrano. But Kakko has been good, and he's been fine, and he's done his job, and that's all that's needed. Again, the team is winning hockey games. That's all I care about.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because you talked about a player coming in and expecting to be, what they're not being what they were expected to be. Mm-hmm. I just watched, I think it was either last night or the night before, I watched this documentary on Alexander Daig. And
I still have to watch that one.
On who?
On Alexander Daig.
I don't know who that is.
Alexander Daig, the first overall pick from 1993. He was anointed as the next one.
Oh wow! No, I don't even know who that is.
I gotta send that to you then.
Yeah,
it's a real
96th birth year. 96th birth year.
Yeah, no, yeah, he was.
I graduated high school then.
He's regarded.
I'm also not like people judge me for my hockey history knowledge. I'm not a fucking historian.
But. I know. I thought it was like yeah. And
I'm trying to defend myself if anyone comes at me in the chat here.
The biggest, he's the biggest bust. No, you got somebody just messing with you about the age thing, but he was one of the biggest busts ever. And it's like it gets to a point where it's like, okay, is that what we're going to be with Kakko? Like the one thing I would ask, and you played at higher levels, and I'd imagine that one of the biggest things to jumping to the levels that you played at was speed and the ability to process the game and do things at a quicker pace. Mm-hmm. Do you think that Kaapo Kakko could get past that by improving speed, or do you think like this is like where he's going to be?
No, listen, he's 22 years old. You're always going to get bigger, faster, stronger, right? The longer you play, and then you hit a certain age where you slow down. But to me, I don't think his like north-south skating is where it needs to be. But I don't think it's necessarily a step behind, if that makes sense, right? Like there's flashes where he looks like he gets up the ice pretty well, but it's the burning guys with speed we haven't necessarily seen yet. He burns guys with his strength and his ability to protect the puck, but you haven't seen, I'm trying to think of like another player that'd be an example. Like, when do you see Kakko really flying down the wall wide and cutting in and scoring a goal? It doesn't, it's not really. that was kind of his game, I feel like, before he was drafted, right? And you haven't seen that in the NHL yet. But again, he's still young. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's definitely something that, you hope for, right? So I wouldn't call him a bust. He's just figuring it out still, and he's still impactful and effective. So that's like, if he sucked, it'd be a different story, but he's still a good player on a winning team. So I have a hard time calling him a bust.
I've made the comparison of the career trajectory on the lines of Larry Nichushkin. That the Rangers
if he can get to that, that'd be fucking amazing because he's on fire. He's on fire right now.
Yeah. Oh,
and that's actually he's a big, strong guy, Valeri Nichushkin. So I like that. That's I would be happy with that.
7 goals in that series.
Yeah, nuts.
Unreal.
Nuts. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah. All right, give me one more good one, boys. Give me one more good one. I want one more.
One more good one? Okay. All right. I was going to say, because I know you got that game, so I don't want to keep you too long.
No, you're good. One more good one.
Man. I was going through some of these. I saw one before that I wanted to bring.
How long are you guys going for, by the way? Didn't you start this at like 5:45 or something?
Yeah, 5:45. We usually started. Actually, I'll give you one from JE here. Have you had any run-ins with Drew?
I'll tell you a good one. I mean, I didn't say anything to him personally. He's in the elevator always and stuff. I just like give him a head nod. But like, we were all the media members were standing outside the Rangers locker room after the Stadium Series win, and Drury walked right by us to go in the room, and he said something to Larry Brooks, and Vince and Larry laughed. We didn't hear it, but like Vince looked over to Larry and said, "Did he just say for Toronto?" And it was pretty funny, of like a joke about like the deadline. So that was pretty funny. But Drury kind of keeps to himself. Like at practice, he's like in the 2 little rows of seating on the far side. You'll like walk by him and stuff. But one thing I could say actually, which was pretty badass, last year in the first round, I was standing like in the event level, like where the Devils were playing sewer before the game, like playing soccer.
Okay.
And Drury just walked right through. Like he didn't even stop to like wait for them to stop playing. He just walked right through the game. And it was unreal. It was awesome.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no, I haven't had like a conversation with him or anything. But it's kind of how it goes. I feel like, most people don't. I mean, he has a relationship with Larry and stuff, so you see those two talking a lot, but yeah, that's really it.
Oh,
someday, hopefully.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the schedule is. I heard something about Sunday. I don't know if that's
game 1 Sunday and game 2 is Tuesday. Times are still to be determined, but it sounds like Sunday is going to be a night game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's from
everything. All right. Yeah, thank God I'm back on the ice again for Sunday night. Yay.
What time?
7:30 in Syosset.
Oh, rough.
Yeah.
You know what you got to do? I actually was playing at Skate Safe like when game 7 Penguins Senators was on, and they had like the game audio, like Doc Emmerich playing in Skate Safe. So it was
wow.
So if you're playing in Syosset, just plug a phone in and have the game audio going on Sunday. Yeah. You can listen to it while you're on the ice.
I remember all of us playing a playoff game when it was game 7 Rangers Capitals, and everybody's giving the updates like right before I went on the ice, saw Ovechkin's goal, and then we're all on the bench celebrating that we just won the game, and then you hear, Kevin Hayes just tied it. All right, great. And then we're fortunately out at the next bar for, my opinion, one of Doc's best calls ever with that Derek Stepan OT winner.
Mm-hmm. The best. So many good moments. It's awesome. But I'm gonna hop, boys. Thank you guys. Whenever you need me, I'm around. So happy to do this again. This was fun.
Perfect.
Johnny, thank you very much.
Yeah, definitely had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hopping on with us.
Yeah, I'll tell Boiler that you apologize if he didn't like me. Right?
We'd love to have him on too.
Yeah.
You guys.
Take care, Johnny. Right. Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, that was awesome.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, probably the best Q&A ever, because Johnny answered a lot of user questions.
Johnny stayed on for a while. I can't believe how long he stayed on for. I didn't want to. I thought we were going to get maybe like 15, 20 minutes. That was perfect. But like, That's awesome. Like him, Ray Ferraro was another one who spent and Neil Smith all spent crazy amounts of time with us. Like I did not expect. Jonny had to be on, so he came on at 6:40. He was on for almost an hour.
Yeah, and even did a little bit of bar.
That's our longest.
Yeah,
that's our longest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Dowd. I mean, Dowd was on for a long time too.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Dowd was on with us for a while. Yeah, he was on for, I would say, probably about 50 minutes as well. Lazzy, yeah, Jonny was great, man. Jonny was great.
Yeah. By the way, once again.